Today was the second conversation I've had with Chantal Cornelius. I love this conversation because we've really managed to bounce off what she does and how she talks about standout strategies for business and business owners. And I say business and business owners because that's what it's about. She talks about those strategies and how they come together to really help people drive what they need in their business, whether it's all about certainty, connection, contribution, growth, or significance. They all come to light. I really enjoyed the conversation as well because there's a real genuine commitment from Chantel to be that safe pair of hands. Listen in and find out what you think you are. What's your business all about? Why is it you do what you do? But more importantly, why is it your clients buy what they buy from you? Let me know your thoughts. And as I always say, I can't hold you to account, but what I can do is ask questions. So if you've got questions for me, please drop them, phil@igniumconsult.com, or send me a WhatsApp. You've got my number if you know it. It's on the WhatsApp group here for the show. But please pass this on to other people who you think will have value from it. Because the more people that hear the message of Sparks, the more businesses we transform. And ultimately, the more lives we touch. Enjoy the show. Let me know your thoughts. Welcome to the Sparks by Ignium podcast. I am Phil Rose. As usual, I'm your host of the Sparks by Ignium podcast. And today I'm delighted to welcome back to the show Chantal Cornelius. Chantal and I spoke at the back end of 2024. And at that time, she said to me, come back in 2025, because by that time I will have published my next book. And lo and behold, she has now completed and published her next book, Standout Strategies. So Chantal is coming back to talk to us about what standout strategies mean to you in business and personally. And also, the other bit of news she shared with me this year is her 25th business anniversary. So I always look at businesses, and if anyone can get past their first year, they're on to their fifth year. But to do 25 years, that's pretty good going. So your silver anniversary, Chantal Cornelius,
Yep.
welcome back to Sparks by Ignium.
Thanks for having me back, Phil. It's great to be back. And yes, I'm not quite sure where the last 25 years went, but hey ho, I'm still going and still
That's
loving it.
I did send out a note actually to one of my clients in January, just as
Mm.
a reminder when I'm thinking about planning. And I said, hey, look, we'll be planning the next year, maybe think about the next 10 years. And by the way, did you realize it was a quarter of a century since the millennium? And they'll come back and said, oh my gosh, a quarter of a
Great.
century.
Yeah, of course. And there was such a big hoo-ha about it. I still remember the New Year's Eve party I had on the beach with friends and fireworks, like it was, yeah, about 2 weeks ago. So
Do you know, it's funny. We all do. And
yeah.
my thing is actually, we had a friend of ours who actually was pregnant for that New Year's Eve, and
Mm.
her daughter was born on January the 6th, 2000. So she has just celebrated her 25th birthday, and that's a real shock because we were with her 25 years ago when she wasn't around. So that was.
Love it. That's really cool.
So look, we're going to talk about standout strategies and various other things. And I know when we talked last time, we talked about the growth of Apple Tree marketing and what you did to
Mm.
create it and various things that put behind it. And you said to me at that stage, standout was going to be the thing that came out to explain everything that you'd created in that book.
Mhm.
And you said here that originally you said that why USPs don't work.
Mm.
But just tell me a bit about that because we've all talked about USPs before, and that's been the standout for most marketeers over the past. Come
Mm.
up with your unique selling proposition and
Yeah.
delve into that with your clients. So why not USPs?
Two reasons. Firstly, because they are about selling. They are about trying to persuade somebody to it's about me trying to sell to you. And actually, marketing and sales should be about helping people. I think
Mm.
it's not about saying I've got a product or service, do you want to buy it? It's okay, what's the problem, what's the challenge you're looking to overcome, and how can we find a solution? So that's the first element.
Yes.
Secondly, what I've found in all my research is that USPs are not unique. I noticed it specifically with coaches. I work with a lot of coaches, and so many of them say, well, what makes me different is I help people get from where they are to where they want to be. Woohoo! Yeah, so does everyone else.
I love that.
And that made me think there has to be a better way of doing this. So yeah, that's why they don't work.
Yeah. And
Keep
it's really
pushing.
interesting as coaches. I remember when I started my business only 21 years ago, 2001. Sorry, 2004.
Mm.
My first thing I went to do, because I was an engineer before I set up my business, I went to learn how to sell. And I worked with a great
Ah,
guy called Marcus for a year in 2004.
Hmm.
And I went on a sales course, which I thought was only going to last 7 weeks. And then a year later, I was still on his sales training course. He was a great sales trainer. Marcus Kalki, if you're listening, you know what I mean.
I
Um,
know him. He's a great guy.
Yes. And Marcus then talked about those things about, helping people sell on pain. And as a Sandler sales trainer, that's what Marcus
Hmm.
taught me. Find
Yeah.
out the pain, dig beneath the surface, and find out specifically what Chantel's pain that I can solve, not the
Hmm.
business pain. And obviously, he talked about, features and benefits, and everyone
Hmm.
sold on features and benefits. But
Yeah.
he was looking at selling on pain. Now, move
Mm.
forward 21 years. I haven't talked to
Hmm.
Marcus for a while, but if you come back to what you're talking about there, as you said, it's all about helping people. That's what sales is all about. That's what marketing is all about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you make the difference in terms of transferring from USP to something else?
Something else. Well, I've done a lot of research. I started digging into this in 2015. So actually that's nearly 10 years. And I started going to workshops and talks and sessions. I started reading around the subject. I started listening to what other people were saying. And what I realized is that it's actually all about the emotional buying decisions that we make as human beings.
Mm,
And the research shows that around 95% of our decisions are made subconsciously, irrationally, emotionally. People talk about how first impressions count.
yeah.
They do, because what happens, you might walk into a networking room or turn up at an event or show up on a podcast, and our brains are making decisions about what we see and hear before we even consciously know it.
Mm,
So you might meet somebody and you've got this kind of gut feeling like, oh, I'm not sure I like them. Oh, but they'll be fine. But the brain has already made that decision.
yeah. Yeah.
And this happens when we're buying anything,
That's
particularly high ticket items and or services. Doesn't
okay.
happen so much. You might go into a shop and buy a bar of chocolate. There's not nearly as so much emotional attachment there as to,
Mm,
as to what chocolate you're having. If it's very, very expensive chocolate, that's slightly different.
yeah.
But definitely with services, when somebody's buying coaching, consulting, training, speaking, there's no tangible thing to look at. So it's
Mm,
much more based on the brain really gets involved, the subconscious gets involved much more and says, well, I want this because I think it's going to help me do such and such, or because it will help me to feel such and such. It's
yeah.
all about the feelings and the emotions.
That's really interesting. So interesting. I've been thinking about this recently, actually. Again, as starting life as a coach and a consultant,
Mm.
and moving to what we do now as a business, which is very much around that coaching piece rather than consulting.
Yeah.
And I do find a lot of clients will sit on the edge thinking, well, I'd love to work with you, but I just don't know what I can get. And it came to
Mm.
me over the last 5 years. I've been working with a car company. And if you go to buy a car, it's Porsche. So if you go to buy a car from Porsche, you know what you're getting, and you know you're going to be spending, for a good one, 90 to 150 to 250,000. You can buy a
Yeah.
cheap one. I noticed one the other day. It's a 14-year-old one, but it's not cheaper. But if you're getting that new one, but the thing
Mm.
is, you're buying a chunk of metal that says something about you, and
Yes.
people buy it because it's got that premium appeal,
Hmm.
but it also has the emotional connection of I'm driving a Porsche.
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
interestingly, the thought I've had going through my mind is that from our business perspective and lots of other businesses, on that intangibility, the tangibility of the Porsche is you can see the piece of metal
Hmm.
with four wheels.
Yeah.
Another thing that sits behind it with that emotional connection you're talking about.
Mm.
And I've noticed with coaching, we don't have the tangible aspects, but we do have the emotional aspects as well. But you have to
Absolutely.
work with us to
Yeah.
feel that emotion afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that play out for you in terms of that? You said about product is less so rather than service. How do you make that
It,
work?
it's really interesting actually that you've given the example of the Porsche because expensive cars, people are buying them on emotion because it's the way somebody feels when they drive the car. And it may be that they want to feel seen, heard,
Yeah.
respected. It may be that they feel fabulous when they drive their car. I actually drive an all electric MG. It's
Mm,
bright blue and it's gorgeous. I love it. And it's rather funky and exciting, but it's great fun to drive.
yeah.
But also, when I tell people that I drive it, they go, "Oh, that's great for the planet, isn't it?" And so for me, there's a feeling there of, well, I'm doing something useful for the planet because it's also incredibly cheap to run it. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So for more expensive products, there is still a big emotional attachment,
Mm.
even though there is something tangible. But people don't necessarily buy a Porsche because it's a Porsche. They buy it because of how they feel when they drive it. So
And I do agree with you on that. And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because you said to me before, when we were talking about this, it's how people want to feel when they work with us. So
yes.
interesting, that thing about the Porsche as an example. I get in my
Mm.
Porsche and it makes me feel something. It's yes,
Mhm.
it's a car and it gets me to A to B in the same way as my Ford Fiesta will or my Escort,
Yeah.
but there's a feeling attached to it. Although I did used to love my Escort, by the way. It was my first good car. It had a red stripe down the side. It made me feel good, but I was 19
Oh,
at the time.
fab.
Yeah,
Love it.
exactly. Um, so there's something there about the way it makes you feel, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
think that irrational side, you mentioned just
Mhm.
now about, 95% of decisions are subconscious. So
Yeah.
there's something there. So let's think about, you said coaches, consultants, and speakers.
Yeah.
They want to come and feel something by working with you, but they don't know whether you're the right one because you've got to stand out in your words. Love
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Relative to all those other people out there in the market vying for your attention and service. So
Yeah.
how do you do it? How do you connect to that human brain piece to make you the right one?
Okay. The research that I did helped me to identify 5 different strategies that
Okay.
businesses can use. This isn't about trying to use all 5 of them. This is about working out the one strategy that is best for an individual business.
Yeah. Okay.
I know which strategy works best for my business, and it's the one that I call certainty. It's about being a safe pair of hands. It's not fun and exciting and sexy. And that's not what my clients want. They want somebody who is going to tell them what marketing to do, not say, what marketing do you think you should do? I just say, do this, this, and this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just get on with it.
Yeah.
I used to do more serviced marketing for clients, and back then we would just do it for them. And I had clients saying, "I don't mind what you do, just get it done and get me some results."
Yeah.
So it's this safe pair of hands.
I love that.
I'm also known as being rather straight talking, and I tell it how it is, and I tell my clients, don't waste money on that, don't do that, do this. So the clients who want to feel safety, security, they want to feel peace of mind and supported. They want somebody who is going to say, I am a safe pair of hands, I will look after you. Those clients come to me and go, yes, please help me with my marketing.
Yeah.
When I was first looking into this, I thought that the strategy that was right for my business is the one I call growth. This is where businesses want to grow. They want to feel motivated, inspired, excited. They want to be going places, and they're
Yeah.
probably looking for rapid business growth. And at the time, we were doing more service marketing, more done for you marketing. I had a young team working with me, and we were constantly trying to sell the next best thing to our clients. Oh, you need a video, you need a blog, you need a new website, you need a podcast. And clients were being really resistant to this, and some of
Mm.
them were actually leaving. And that's not good in business. So I started asking them, what is it? Why do you work with us?
Yeah.
Why do you buy from us? And I kept hearing this phrase, you are a safe pair of hands. You get it done.
Yeah.
So at that point, I went, okay, let's drop the growth marketing. We completely changed the language of the marketing that I used for Apple Tree, away from the we're fun and exciting and marketing's fab down to, well, we'll just get it done.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And I love that. And
And
and I love the thing you said, a couple of things you said there.
mm,
Um, you were originally selling yourself on growth because that's what you believe people wanted, that's what you heard. But
yeah,
then when you asked the question,
mm-hmm,
why do you work with us? They said, safe pair of hands. And
yeah,
I love that by asking what you do. And it's interesting, isn't it?
yeah,
We often forget as business owners to ask, why do you work with us? What is
yeah,
it you see in us? And,
yeah.
and often the reason you get is not the reason you think people are buying from you.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very definitely. About a little while ago, I ran a workshop for a peer group in London. So there was a group of business owners who get together once a month, and they have a workshop in the morning, and in the afternoon, they work on their challenges and issues. And I was talking to them and the business owner about these strategies. And I had all of them do a quick test to find out which was the right strategy for their business.
Mm,
And the chap who ran the group said, oh, I think mine's growth. I think all my clients want growth. And he did the test and it came out as certainty. And he said, oh, well, that's obviously wrong. I said, okay, you've got a room full of clients. Let's ask them. And we went round the table, and every single one of them said, I turn up every month because I know what I'm going to get, because I get good advice, because of the consistency. It was all certainty. And he kind of
Wow.
sat there going, hang on, I thought it was growth. And
Yeah.
he took it. It was great, but it was right, real time in the room feedback. This is what your clients are saying. This is why they're
Yeah.
here today. Listen to what they're saying.
And it's really interesting you said that because I love the fact that he hadn't asked or thought to ask it. And you asked him what do you think they buy, and he was one
Yeah,
way and you came out with something else, but
yeah,
asking the client. And I
yeah.
think the interesting thing is if you think about what you do, as I'm thinking about what you do as a marketeer,
Mm,
you're helping people understand their marketing, but you're right. You're
mm,
not a marketing coach, you're a marketing teller because you know how to do it.
yeah,
And that safety, we've
yeah.
all spent money on marketing over the last period of time in our businesses,
Hmm.
whether we've done it ourselves or others. Often when we start a business, we just dabble in it, we do everything we think we need to, and we don't get the results. And I love the fact what you're saying is there, we get it done. We just,
Yeah,
ESD, as I always think, you come in, you get it done, people get the results they need. And that's
yeah,
what they're mainly looking for. Whereas
yeah,
it's a bit of a gamble, if not, isn't it? Because if I see Chantal and I think, oh, I'm not sure if she's going to be the right person for me, and I then see someone else, it's about that
yeah,
balance, but you're giving people that certain feeling of, yeah,
absolutely.
we'll get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, there are businesses out there who don't want certainty. They want rapid business growth, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But
Yeah.
if somebody comes to me and says, I want to really grow my business really, really quickly, can you help? I will say, no, it's not how I do it. I've learned over the years that my ideal clients are the
Mm.
ones who have a brilliant reputation in what they do,
Yeah.
but they're not very good at the marketing.
Yeah.
So my job is much more about helping maintain that reputation and promoting
Yeah.
the reputation rather than
Yeah.
getting them thousands and thousands of new clients. So
Yeah. Because you don't need thousands of thousands, you just need whatever number it is. That's so
exactly.
interesting. You
Yeah.
said there's other businesses out there that want
Mm,
other things. So you mentioned
mm,
there are five strategies. But
yeah.
before I go on to that, I've got one other question. So
Okay.
in our business, we often talk about creating a guarantee or brand promise, which says
Okay.
it makes it a no-brainer to buy your services because
Yeah.
this is what I'm going to get from Chantel. But then I put on the end of it, I say, what's your guarantee? So
Mm,
we talk about a brand promise guarantee, which in business MBA speak, you talk about catalytic mechanisms, which is
mm,
the thing that propels you to want to buy you because it's a no-brainer. Hey, why wouldn't I do
mm,
this? And
yeah.
some businesses say, if it doesn't work, I'll give you your money back.
Yeah.
Or or if it doesn't work, I'll give you X. And I've seen this on bigger companies and smaller companies.
Mm.
Have you ever thought about that or seen business where they do guarantee the result in some way, and then that gives people more relaxed ways of buying your service? Relaxed being probably the wrong word, but an easier way of buying your service.
So that's a really interesting topic, Phil. I often see, particularly in the digital marketing area, people saying, we'll guarantee to get you on the first page of Google. Run a mile because they can't guarantee it.
Right, because Google changed
It's
the algorithm.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, a few years ago there was a whole big hoo-ha, I think, about you've got to have a guarantee, and I've tried it, but it's never actually
Yeah.
encouraged people to buy from me.
Oh, that's
They've kind of gone,
interesting.
oh, it's guaranteed, right, whatever. Because I think these days it's almost guaranteed that you should guarantee your service. Because I'm not
Mm,
going to go out and say, well, I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to get you results. Also, the work that I do, the marketing work and the support I do, it's intangible. Most of my clients are out networking, they're generating referrals, they're speaking at events. Now I can get them those speaking gigs, I can get them to a networking event. I can't guarantee who's going to be in the audience or
yeah,
how
okay.
they are going to perform.
Yeah.
I can coach them in speaking and networking, and I do quite a lot of that to make them better and
Mm,
help them to really give a good marketing focused presentation. But
mm,
I can't guarantee that they're going to turn up and do a fabulous job, and I
yeah.
certainly can't guarantee that there are going to be potential clients in the audience. So
Yeah.
that's why I don't guarantee. I mean, I can guarantee that people will have a heck of a lot of fun working with me. If they don't do their homework, they will get nagged. And told off, and they'll also get taken out for lunch when they recommend me, and they get invited to birthday parties. I can guarantee that.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting, isn't it? Because it's just something on my mind that I thought that because with that certainty, people are coming to you for a result, and I'm thinking there, okay, you're going to guarantee certainty from it. Therefore, I'm going to get this great business growth. Because in some ways, maybe they do need business growth. They're not just tailoring that
Yeah.
wording in that sense. But it's interesting,
The,
isn't it? How,
the other thing though there is that they're not, my clients don't come to me saying, I want certainty. I never use the word certainty in my marketing. I use words like safety, security.
yeah,
I say, in fact, a client said to me a little while ago, she said, I come to you because you give me confidence in my
yeah,
message and in my marketing, and you help me develop the clarity of my message. So clients might come along saying, well, I want some new clients, but they
mm,
want it done in a way where they feel safe. It's not them feeling certainty.
yes, yes,
Recently, I worked with a new client and we worked out that her strategy was very definitely growth. And she started talking about growth in her marketing and it wasn't working. And I said, no, don't do that. That's people don't come to you going, I want growth. I want to feel growth. No, they don't. They want to feel excitement and
mm,
empowerment and motivation. So
mm.
there's a
Love that.
difference.
That's really interesting. I love that. So thanks for that
Mm,
clarification. So let's think about those other in that case. So
mm,
by working with Chantal Cornelius, I get certainty, but it's ending up my words, it's safety, security, confidence, those
yeah,
things.
yeah,
There's other businesses out there who don't want those things. And you talked about those
mhm,
five strategies. So the
yeah,
first one in your mind is that certainty.
yeah,
Let's talk about the others. What are the others? Because some people out there need something else.
definitely. The second one is called connection. And this is for people who want to feel a sense of belonging. They want to feel part of something bigger. They want to feel connected to other people.
Mm.
I did some work with an accountancy firm a little while ago, and they didn't realize until we did the work that people bought from them because they helped connect them to other people. It wasn't just about getting their accounts done. This particular firm do a lot of networking events. They bring their clients together on a regular basis. They
Mm.
make them that you can't make anyone feel anything. They help them to feel part of a family so that they know that they can go to the accountants and say, I need a recommendation for a plumber, or can I have a chat about
Mm.
this, that, or the other? So it also works really well for networking groups and
Yeah.
associations. Join a networking group because of that sense of family and connection.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting with networking. If I think about over the last 20 plus years of me doing networking, right, that's actually what you want there, isn't it? It is connection. There might be other bits in there as well, but connection's the main thing because most single people, business owners,
Mm,
initially they want some form of connection, unless
yeah,
they're that
absolutely.
introvert that doesn't like seeing other people.
Yeah. But even they need some element of connection. So
Yes, they do. That's
yeah.
right. And I love that. So that sense of belonging. So as
Mm,
an individual, you're then looking for people in their marketing to give that reassurance in some way that we can help bring connection. So there's still
mm,
a level of reassurance needed. So I turn up
yeah.
looking for that service and I
Yeah.
feel the sense of belonging.
Yes. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might ask you how in a minute, but let's leave that on for a
Okay.
second.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
So connection.
Yeah.
What's next on the list?
Number three is called contribution, and this is charities that do really good marketing. They use this beautifully. So a charity could say to you, "Oh, Phil, would you like to donate some money to this cause, please? Give us a fiver." No emotional connection. If they say, "When you donate money to this charity, you will be part of the solution. You will be part of something bigger."
Mm,
They really good charities really play on the emotions, and it gives
yeah.
you a warm and fuzzy feeling.
Yeah. Love
My
that.
partner and I are doing another crazy adventure this summer. We're walking a half marathon near Cheltenham, which is very hilly. It's going to be a lot of up and down. And the charity, we're doing it for Alzheimer's,
Well,
and the charity is great because they're keeping in touch with us
yeah.
and they're giving us support. They're helping us to feel warm and fuzzy. And we volunteered one year as we were on the finish line cheering half marathon and marathon walkers over. It was so much fun.
Love
And the
it.
charity helped us to feel like we were part of the day. All we were
Yeah.
doing was handing out medals and opening endless bottles of Prosecco and dishing out glasses of bubbles. But we felt special. We felt part of contributing to the charity because they can't run events without a
Yeah.
stack load of volunteers.
I love
So
that.
that's
And I
that's
love that differentiation you made there as well. It's the charity that makes you feel something bigger rather than just give me a fiver.
yeah,
It's something there.
absolutely.
It's not
Yeah.
just out, the charity chuggers in the corner trying to get money out of you. You're
Mm,
feeling
yeah,
why it's important to do it. And it's interesting because if I think about the work of Robert Cialdini and some of
mm,
the influencing marketing, that's what comes
yeah,
to mind there. It's people,
yeah,
95% of people who donate to this charity are like you, also go on to do other things. So it's feel
yes,
part of that thing.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. What a great message. Okay, so we've got
yeah.
connection, we've got contribution. And interesting, I can see that connection and contribution coming together as well, because there
Mhm.
may be a combination there, which is
Yeah,
interesting for a charity
yeah,
organization.
yeah.
So where do we go next?
Number four is called growth. This is for people and businesses who want to either grow personally or professionally or both.
Okay.
Works beautifully with coaches. You might have a life coach who attracts people to them because their clients want to grow personally. They want self-development. I've done all sorts of weird and wonderful coaching over the years because it's when I'm thinking I need to grow personally.
Mm.
The coach I've been working with actually for many years, I took him on originally as a, a kind of a life coach. No, I took him on as a business coach. I said, I
Okay.
want you to help me grow my business. And we worked on that for some years. And then life started getting in the way. And I realized that I needed me to be okay because there's just me in the business now.
Yeah.
So most of the conversations I have with my coach are around me. How am I
Mm.
doing? And I see this so much with micro businesses, those of us where there's just one person or very small businesses. If I'm not okay, then my business isn't going to be okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
And I think that's really interesting. So the growth there for you specifically was around personal growth. Although you took your coach on as a business coach,
mm,
actually realized that you needed that life coach piece to help you understand who Chantal was and where you are because you need to
exactly.
feel okay to develop.
We'll also think that life kind of starts throwing you curveballs, like your mum dies, and then you get divorced, and then you have back surgery, and then your dad dies, and every now and then you need a coach where you can just phone them up and go, help, I need to talk to somebody,
Yeah.
or help me build my resilience. So
Yeah.
and I see it as well with much bigger businesses, and particularly with CEOs and leaders of businesses who
Mm.
are sitting at the top going, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Oh, flip, no, I'm not. So even people at the top, the good business owners have coaches.
Yeah. I don't, and
They need
I'm going to
them.
advocate that all the way through. I totally agree. The interesting thing for me, when you think about that in that growth term, so
Mm,
interesting, you've given a different context to the word growth because often we think about growth normally as growing your business up and up. But I'm
mm,
hearing something different for you there. It was about your business was there, but you needed something else in life,
yeah.
not just more money in the bank.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's
Definitely.
interesting.
And more in terms of, I mean, particularly for me, coping strategies. I can be absolutely fine one day and then the next day, I don't know, I don't get the client proposal that I thought I was going to get,
Mm.
or I don't get the gig I thought I was going to get. And I go, oh no, oh poor me. And I'm getting much better at it. But even 25 years in business, I do have moments of like, oh, they don't want me. How do I cope? Ian, help.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I'm looking at your apple tree behind you, and of course I see the top word
Mm.
there being support.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because although you're about certainty, there's obviously that support piece around you as well. And that could be the
Mm.
safe pair of hands to do things. So I'm hearing
Mhm.
Ian, your business coach, obviously provides that as well,
Yeah,
but he
yeah,
comes at it from a growth perspective.
he does. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Would he recognize that?
Yes, he does because I've told him.
Yeah. That's the straight
Yeah,
talking
he's
piece.
actually he's actually the growth case study in my book because as I was he's been there. I think I started working on the book before I started being coached by Ian, and at one point I suddenly said, "Oh, I think I need you to take the test. Can we just check this?" And so yeah, I help him with his marketing as well, and he uses the growth words like clients want to feel empowered, listened to, heard, excited, motivated. He is brilliant at all of
Yeah.
that. So yeah, he knows it.
I
I've
love
got him
that. I
well
love that.
trained.
And interesting, is it? Because it's interesting. There's a completely different take on that word growth, which is triggered off in my mind there. It's not about growth just in the numbers, it's growth in other things as well, personal growth.
Absolutely, yes,
Really
yeah.
important. Okay, I love that. So let's go number five in that case. We might come back to these in a second. Where do we go number five?
Number five is called significance. And this is the strategy where if your clients want to feel, they want to feel seen, heard, respected, they want to feel that they're making a bigger impact in the work that they do. If that's the case, then significance is probably the right strategy for you.
Okay. And when you say bigger impact, obviously, from my perspective, I work on the word purpose a lot with clients, to help
Mm.
them understand what their purpose is.
Mhm.
Um, do you mean that same thing in terms of bigger impact, or is there something else behind that? Because significance to me could be different to that.
No, I think that is, I think purpose definitely comes into it, because if somebody doesn't know what their purpose is, they don't know what they're doing, and they're kind of wandering around the planet going, I don't quite know what I'm doing,
Mm,
they're not going to have a very big impact. Whereas personally, I think as soon as you know what your purpose is, why you're here,
mm,
it then becomes much easier to have an impact. Now, the interesting thing there, though, is that there may be people who actually don't want to make a huge impact, and that's fine. They just want to carry on with what they're doing, and just kind of tick along, and keep their head down and work. So, so for instance, if the strategy for your business, Phil, was significance,
mm.
and somebody came along to you and said, well, I need some help. I don't really want to put my head above the parapet, and I don't want to do anything different, and I don't want to be challenged. They would not be a good client for you, because if you were going, hang on, but I'm all about helping people become more impactful, and they're going, oh, I don't want that. So
Yeah. Okay. So there's a mismatch in that what I
yeah,
deliver versus what they want. That's interesting.
yeah,
Okay. So we've got those five strategies, and I love
yeah.
that in terms of the five differences there. Um,
Mm,
so interestingly, you were talking just there earlier about going into that business meeting and the gentleman who was running the session saying what he thought they were about, and when you asked
mm,
the clients, they came back and said something different.
yeah.
So a lot of people, what that says to me is don't know what they're selling in the first place. As in, they might be selling a great widget, but they don't know why people are buying that, which is what you said earlier about going around the
Mm,
room and asking. And then
yeah,
you say, why do you work with us? And then they get the answer. But a
yeah.
lot of people don't do that. So I wonder, as a marketeer,
Mm.
what advice would you give people about how to go about asking? And may seem a very strange question, but how do you ask people for answers about what I do for you?
Well, there are different ways of doing them. If you're watching this podcast, you can see this. If you're listening to it, this is called a telephone. I've got messages and all sorts. Oh, and actually, my coach has just left me a message, and it's transcribing what I
He's
said.
listening live.
Yeah. So pick up the phone and talk to your clients. I know this is a strange thing to do, but honestly, it's great. If you have meetings with clients, if you are a coach and you have regular conversations with clients, coaching clients, at the end of the call, there's nothing wrong with saying, can I ask you a few questions? Why do you work with me? We should be doing this on a regular basis. We should be running surveys. We should be talking to our clients to say, how am I doing? Is this good enough? Is it what you wanted? Is it what you thought you were getting? We don't do it because we think we might not like the answer. We think that somebody might go, actually, no, it's not good enough. In which case, right, what can I do to make it better? So we have to get over that. I was running a workshop for a client a couple of days ago, and at the end, we do a Mentimeter slide, and we ask them to vote out of five.
Mm,
But we then added another slide that says, what can Chantal do better? And I love that slide because they're live, they're chucking feedback onto it. And I
yeah.
take that feedback and I use it for the next workshop.
Yeah, I
So
love it.
we have to get over I might not like what they say. We have to ask them. Picking up the phone is the
Yeah.
best way. Talking to them in coaching conversations, in meetings is a brilliant way.
Yeah, I love that.
What I don't think works, and my mobile phone provider and my internet service provider and all the rest of them, they send me emails going, we really care what you think about. No, you don't.
Yeah.
And they don't ask, how do you feel? This
Yeah.
is the key question. We have to ask our clients, how do you feel when you work with me?
Mm,
How do you feel at the end of a coaching session? How do you want to feel? Is how you feel the same as how you want to feel? Am I getting that right? And
yeah.
you've got to probe, because you could say, how do you feel? And they might go, yeah, I love working with you, Phil. You're great. Fine. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for them to use emotional words like, oh, I feel safe. I feel supported. I feel empowered. I feel excited. I feel whatever.
Yeah.
So you've got to dig in and listen for the language.
Mm.
What I've put into the book is all the language that goes with each of the strategies.
Okay. And I love that in sense of, I'm glad I asked that question, how do people go about doing it? Because to me, that says a lot, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
people don't like, not so much pick up the phone, but they don't ask that question because they're fearful of the result they might get.
absolutely. Yeah. And it's the only way that we're going to improve our businesses is by checking. If I hadn't asked my clients all those years ago, why do you work with me? I'd have carried on trying to sell them all the other marketing tools. They would all have left. And I'd have
Yeah.
been sitting here going, well, I have no clients and I have staff who are expecting to be paid and I have no clients and no business. So, you know,
Yeah. And that's really interesting, isn't it? We need to pick up the phone and do it. And
yeah,
it makes me think actually, um, a lot of people I see, and you mentioned about, telephone companies, whereas others sending out their score, rate us on a score of 0 to 10 to get their
yeah,
net promoter score number.
yeah, yeah.
But they're not asking the right question. They're just
They're
getting the
not.
9 or 10. Um,
Exactly. And it's only if you give them a score of maybe under six do they say, "Oh, can you tell us why?"
mm,
But there aren't enough prompts there. They don't encourage you to say, "Well, working with you makes me feel unheard, unrespected,
mm,
unloved," which
yeah.
is most of it.
Most
So,
telephone companies, you get the answer. Yes, exactly. And I love that. I love that fact of pick up the phone, do it. Interesting, actually. I have just been working with my lovely copywriter Amanda, and she is starting to go and ask all our clients,
yay,
what do they do? So
brilliant.
the reason she's doing that is because I want it to come from a neutral voice rather than
Mhm.
me keeping that phone. But I'm wondering whether I should do it. And I've asked Amanda to go and do it because I think might get a different view. But I'm wondering now, should it be me doing that
No,
actually?
it's fine. It doesn't actually matter who does it, but talk to her about what language to be looking out for. Because when we spoke last time, Phil, you took the test on my website, which by the way, I've revamped. It's much better now.
Okay, okay.
So I'd love for you to go back and do it again, and
Yeah, let's go have a look.
I'll check the results. But last time, your strategy came out as certainty.
Yeah,
You are a safe pair of hands.
yeah.
So it would be worth, Amanda, listening out for the emotional language that your clients are using and ask her to prompt them
Mm,
into how do you feel? Not how much, what do you like, but how
yeah,
do you feel? And have her note down. I mean, she can record the calls, brilliant, because then you can
yeah.
go through and pull out all the emotional words and see how much of a match there is. Because
Mm,
if your clients are using the certainty words, yay, bingo, you're fine.
yeah, yeah,
If they're not, then there's a little bit of a mismatch. There's a gap
yeah.
there that needs to be looked at.
And
So
they might be the wrong clients. Yeah,
exactly.
and
And
it's
that's
really interesting that I will
that's
go and redo the test because I know when we talked about this last time,
mm,
that certainty, maybe that is it. Maybe from a coaching and if I put the name consulting, people want that
mm,
certainty.
yeah,
Yes, they want growth, but they need to know it's a certain thing. And come back to the Porsche example,
yeah,
that feeling you get is certainty because you're taking a gamble. You're spending a lot of money on this person
mm,
called a coach, and you
yeah,
might get down the end of the line a
absolutely.
year from now thinking, didn't really get value from that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we need to be clear about how do we set the expectation around that at the beginning.
Absolutely. It's very much about setting expectations. And this isn't to say that all coaches use certainty because they don't. Like I said, Ian, my coach, uses growth. I have a
Mm.
fabulous speaker coach, Susan, who is all about significance because she helps me get on stage and make a bigger impact when I'm up there going, oh,
'Cause that's what you need. Yeah, I
mm,
love that. I love that. So look, this has been really good in that case. I love the way you're going through this. I love the fact that you identify where you are. So
mm,
let's just come back to it in terms of standout strategies, because you said that
yeah,
at the beginning that's what you've discovered over time. But you said you
mm,
started writing this 10 years ago, 2015. So effectively,
yeah,
this has been 10 years in the making. Just before we finish in that case, a lot of people like the thought of writing a book but never get round to doing it.
mm,
I just want to delve into that with you because I
mm,
wonder, this is your second book. Each one is a labor of love. Each one
yeah.
takes a long time. A lot of effort goes into it. What drove you to want to write a book about what you do?
It's actually my third book, Phil.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. Oh my
It's
gosh.
the, it's the third one. This came about, I wrote the first one and I really enjoyed writing it. And it was material that I knew and it was relatively easy. And of course, I said, no, I'm never writing another book. And then I did write another one, which was really easy to write because it was about the 10 years, my first 10 years in business.
Hmm.
This one came about because in fact, the whole system of standout strategies, I had started digging into it. I used to when I spoke on stage or ran workshops, I would talk about a 9-stage marketing planning process that I used. There's a lot to pack in with 9 stages. So I
Mm,
then started talking about the first four, which are the strategic elements.
okay.
My beloved other half said to me one day, actually, I think you should pick one of those, and I think you should pick the bit where you talk about how USPs don't work.
Oh,
So that's where it came from. And I'd always said, no, no, I'm not going to write a book. And then people started saying, are you going to write a book about this? And it actually helped me get everything, all the ideas that were going round and round in my head, help me get them out of my head and onto paper.
yeah, yeah,
That's why I wrote it. It's also a fabulous business card because
yeah.
I was at a networking event this morning. I stood up to do a 1 minute introduction. I waved the book. I said, I'm the author of this fabulous new book. And a coach came bounding up to me and said, I want to buy your book. So I have a potential client to follow up with, and
Lovely.
he has taken away a copy of the book.
I love that.
So
And I
it's
love that as an example, getting all the ideas out of your head and being
yes.
able to sell it. We often talk about those
Yeah.
books being your business card, and I think that's
Mm.
the great thing. I often think about it because my book is about fancy dress running. So I've often taken that to business meetings, and I'm still excited. I still get
Oh,
16
that's fabulous.
royalties every time I sell one. So I got another 16 pence the
Oh,
other day, which was
that's
amazing.
brilliant. You've
Um,
given me a great idea. My next book is going to be about fancy dress skiing.
I've done that as
Because
well. Love
because
that.
well I was Tigger. I have a Tigger onesie that I skied in
Have you really?
recently.
I actually, it's funny actually. Well, another thing, I've got a photo in my wardrobe. It's in my wardrobe because my wife hates it. Of me and my four university friends back in 1993. One of them
Mm.
who's wearing what I would class as a 1980s all-in-one ski suit. The other one is wearing a normal ski suit, but I'm wearing a big hat and a tomato costume.
Nice.
Yeah, with green
Like
tights.
that.
Yeah,
Love it. Well
I
done,
s-
you.
I started dressing up early.
Love it.
So
Brilliant.
yeah,
It's a great book. I can't wait to read it.
that's it. But I love that. So really, so from your perspective, that book, third book,
Yeah.
all about standout strategies. And I think
Yes.
that says a lot about you. And interestingly, even when you said about your electric MG being blue, and what I see of you is very blue. So that's the royal blue stands out.
I started getting cars on lease in 2012. I decided I never wanted to drive an old car again, and I went to a garage and I had a bright green Skoda. My corporate colours are blue and green. They are my favourite colours. I've had bright blue or green cars ever since. It's very sad, but when I was researching which electric car to get, one of the reasons for going for the MG is because there's a blue one. There's also an orange one, which is rather fab.
And I
But yeah,
bet
if there hadn't been a blue one, I would not have an MG.
I love it. And I bet when the salesperson asked you, why do you want this car? And you said
Well,
blue.
funny you say that. We went. I've done talks about this and using it on the emotional side because I went in. I'd done the research. I went into the local garage. I booked a test drive. Took the car out. Loved it. Didn't like the sound of the indicators, but then I thought, well, maybe I just won't bother using indicators like like BMW drivers. Um, and sorry, went back to the garage and said, right, I'll have one, please. And he said, well, we've got a black one that you can take away once we've done the paper. I'm like, no, 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 I want the blue one. And he said, but that's more expensive and it'll take 3 months. So I'm like, I don't care. I want the blue one. It has to stand out.
I love that. I love that.
Crazy.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, I've just converted to being a BMW driver, so I'm worried
Oh,
now.
I'm so sorry. Do you use your indicators?
What are they?
Exactly. Exactly.
Chantal, it's been a great conversation. I love this. So from your perspective, it's great seeing you again, hearing that story. I will go and
Hmm.
retake the test. And I know I asked this question last time. Where do people go and find Apple Tree Marketing apart from Googling Apple Tree Marketing and Chantal Cornelius?
That is actually the best way to find it. It's a really good way to find it. Otherwise, go to my website, which is appletreeuk.com. And it's all there. The test is there, the book's there. There's also a shed load of marketing advice and support. I've got newsletters going back for years and years on blogs and all sorts of help. So yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
and have
love
a
that. I
nose
love
in
that.
there.
Okay. Yeah, it's been wonderful. Thank you. And I know you've spent a lot of time skiing this winter, so helping
Mm,
that standout strategy. And but I'd love to see you at some stage in person to have more conversation and follow up on this because I think there's so much there, and I
let's
love
do
these
that.
stories. And happy congratulations on your 25th anniversary of business.
Thank
What a
you.
great year to launch standout strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Phil. It's been great fun. Really enjoyed talking to you today.
Thanks, Chantal. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I look forward to doing it again for the next book.
Yay. Mm.
Thanks for
Mm.
that. Thank you.